Hey there everybody, Eric from Outer Limitless coming at you today with another video. Now in today's video, very straightforward yet important at the same time. If you're a homeowner or a parent, you're a coach, or you just simply own an automobile or a bike, today's product lineup can definitely come into play for you. Because what we're going to talk about is some portable pumping solutions from the company Seyvum. Now here we have three different compressors. This one here, this is the TR1623, the TR1611, and the DP3. Three different solutions here, each one a little bit different, and each with a pro and a con worth considering. Now when it comes to pumping and compressing products, there are a ton of different companies out there. Seyvum here, just one of the many, but they do have a number of different offerings, and I thought it was worth bringing these to you. So with that said, I have a whole bunch to do and a whole bunch to share with you. And if you're interested in seeing a little bit more about what I'm about to get into, do me a favor, stay tuned. Now before we get too far, I would like to say thank you very much to the people at Seyvum who did provide these products for review. And so as I mentioned, three different offerings here from the company Seyvum, and we're going to look at all three of these in detail to show you the pros, the cons, what's worked for me, and what I think either could be improved or is at least something worth considering. Now again here, the 1623, this is in their TR line. We have two models in the TR line. So again, the TR1623 and here the TR1611. Right away, what you can see, definitely different sizes, different overall pumping capabilities, and these are not, and I say again, not battery powered. These do need to be plugged in, so that is something worth noting. But then here, the DP3, this is more of your portable battery operated compressor. So a couple of different things, again, worth considering. Very small, very portable, battery operated, something right in the middle, but then again, it needs to be plugged in, and something a little bit larger. Well, where do these come into play? How will they work for you? And what are my thoughts? Let's get into it. And so again, as we get into this, taking a look at three different compressors from the company Seyvum. Here, the TR1623, a very capable, nice size compressor, a little bit larger. This is the largest of the bunch, suitable for cars, vehicles, motorcycles, bikes, and pumping up those inflatable balls. And here you'll see this is the TR1611. Right in the middle of the three that we're going to take a look at today. Again, this is in the TR lineup, so a similar product to the TR1623, just a little bit smaller, a little more compact, and it's going to be a little bit easier for somebody who's maybe just a little bit smaller or wants a more compact unit. But then finally, the DP3, this is a fully portable option being battery operated. Very nice. Again, this is going to be a great option for anybody who has vehicles, different cars, motorcycles, bikes, and especially coaches, somebody looking for a nice quality portable option. But first, we're going to look at the TR1623 in detail. Now, the first thing is, Seyvum does report this goes to a maximum pressure of 150 PSI. It delivers an airflow of roughly 45 liters per minute. So in other words, to give you some reference, it'll take about 3 minutes and 30 seconds for a 215/50 R17 tire to inflate from 0 PSI to 35 PSI. Now, Seyvum does note that after about 30 minutes of continuous use, you will want to power this off and allow it to cool down. But generally speaking, this is a nice unit. It does offer different readings and different units of pressure display. So PSI, bar, kPa, and kilograms per centimeter squared. So these different modes are all available and can be leveraged right within the unit. Here you can see removing all the different accessories. This does come with your power cables, does come with all the different hoses that you need, and a few additional accessories to help you with your inflation needs. Also coming in a nice little kit, you can see here inside, this is your hose. So the hose here is an expandable hose. It basically is all curled up, and it's going to give you a nice option to reach from one end of your vehicle all the way to the other end of the vehicle. So the fact that this does come with a hose like this is very nice. And then the main unit itself, you can see coming in this nice case, generally speaking, fairly compact, does have a nice long cable here. So your power cable ample in terms of the overall length and is capable of reaching a fairly good distance for your vehicle depending on your vehicle type and your overall needs. Now, one thing is I do oftentimes, before I get these hoses plugged into the unit, really like to leverage something like, say, for example, some tape. So here you can see leveraging this tape, getting it nice and secure so that it does not leak any air. And it's just a small detail. Now, one thing I would love to get on this with a wrench just to tighten down a bit, but you can see as it's recessed into the housing, there is no possible way to do that. And then your accessory hose here, you can see this nice flexible end. This particular unit does come with the additional accessory hose, so just not the full coiled up hose, but then a small flexible rubber hose. This works out very well to give you some flexibility on the end of the unit. Now, taking a look here and getting this into practical use, you can see I am using this on my wife's SUV. Now, the reality of in this day and age, you do happen to have the power a lot of times in the back of the vehicle. So here you can see plugging it in the rear of the vehicle, in the trunk, getting the vehicle powered on, and at this point, I can access the unit. So here you can see going through the different modes, I do have the ability to change the unit of measure. So again, changing the unit of measure between your kilograms per square centimeter, PSI, bars, and whatnot. So very simple operation overall. Now you can see also as we go through this, the ability to change the pressure. This does appear as though it goes to a fraction of a PSI, but unfortunately, it seems to me it only goes to the whole unit. Not a big deal, but just something worth noting. Now, additionally, leveraging the light button, you can see this does give you an auxiliary light if you need it, and also a red flashing beacon. That could be important if in the event you were to break down and you just wanted something to help with signaling. You could certainly put this on the side of the vehicle. You could even open your tailgate and you could run this out the back of your car. So in this particular case, having that little bit of a beacon is definitely nice. But at this point, trying to get the compressor into actual use, you can see running out of the back of the vehicle, I am stretching the cord out literally as far as it will possibly go, getting the unit set down on the side of the vehicle, and now at this point, stretching out the hose. You can see that I am able to set this pretty easy, just taking advantage of the simple controls and the simple reading on the unit, very straightforward. And as we get this fit onto the tire, very simple, no problem to it. Now, one thing that I would like to see is a little accessory adapter to allow this to connect to the tire a little bit easier. You'll notice this does require threading this onto the stem. Not a big deal, but it is just something worth noting. You do typically lose a little bit of pressure on most things as you're loosening this and taking it off, but again, not a big deal. And as we get going, you can see my tires were quite low. Pressurizing the hose at this point, here you go. So starting here at 27.5 PSI, it should not be too long at all. This is a fairly robust unit that has a decent refresh rate. So overall, very straightforward, very simple. And you can see here, as I get this set to the actual operating pressure I'm looking for, no problem. So a very straightforward unit and pretty simple, all things considered. Now, one thing you will notice, the cable actually comes out of the front of the unit where I have my power in the back of my car. That makes it a little bit awkward. For my particular needs, I would actually prefer if the power cable came out of the back of the unit. It would put a little bit less stress on the unit and it would actually give me about 8 inches further reach, but not a big deal. But now as we're getting closer and closer, building up to pressure, what's this going to do as we get right up against the 37 PSI, which is my target goal? Well, you can see here, pretty quick in terms of its ability to pump up between the different pressures. And by the time we come to a close, well, there you see, it did stop. If I get this started again, it pumps a little bit more. And then, well, you'll see, it stops again. Still a little shy from my target. Starting up again, still a little shy. And then finally, one last time, here you go, topping off at my 37 PSI target. So generally speaking, not a big deal. You'll notice this is quite stretched out. This really did work fine to get to the front of the vehicle, but I find that it's definitely going to be tight, especially with the fact that in today's modern SUVs, you do typically have power coming off the back. This is not like the day and age where you had cigarette lighters. Again, not a big deal, just something worth noting. And then last but not least, as we get this all packaged up and wrapped up, very simple. This is actually going to fit just nicely with everything put together, wrapping around the power cord, getting it stowed away, getting everything put inside its carrying case. And then now at this point, with the hose fully connected, I do need to get this entire thing back in the carrying case with the hose. This is not a quick connect or anything that you can disconnect fairly easy without tools or without the ability to actually get on that. And I would certainly not suggest that a basic user is going to do that every single time. So the fact that this hose goes back in the case with the compressor is definitely nice. So overall, pretty nice. And I do like the TR1623. Fairly capable overall, but the one thing I really do wish is it had the ability to plug this into the wall. Another place where I would use this TR1623 would be in my garage as a basic unit on the floor. And the fact of the matter that it really only has the ability to clip this either to a battery or to plug it into the car socket. That is really the only two means to power this, so it leaves it a little bit lacking. And now for the TR1611. Again, in this demonstration, this is the mid-size of the three units. This one here is going to be a little bit more compact than the 1623, but at the same time, it should be just about as capable. The people at Seyvum reporting this can go to a maximum pressure of 150 psi. This should take roughly about 3 minutes and 30 seconds to inflate a 195/65 R15 car tire from 0 psi to 35 psi. This has an auto off function, so using your preset, this will turn off at the appropriate pressures, and this definitely has a wide range of applications. So here you can see as I get this out, this does have an 11-foot reach overall. This is going to come into play a little bit later on, so keep in mind the fact that between your power cord and your hose, you have roughly 11 feet of reach. You can see here the hose nicely wrapped around the back. This is going to be nice where it's compact, and this definitely has a better adapter than the 1623. I like this nozzle quite a bit, and it makes it a little more conducive to my needs. And now you can see here as we get the car fired up and getting this unit into proper working order, here you can see it is fully illuminated. Now at this point, keep in mind, again, this is only going to work by the car power. You don't have any auxiliary power, you don't have any battery power, but not a big deal. And in the same way, you can see the different units of measure. So as you go through the modes, you can see this is a number of different units that you can go by. I go by PSI, and in this case, going to my 37 PSI needs. This also has some auxiliary light. So as you look at the side, just a simple light to give you a little illumination if you need it. A very basic light, very simple operation, and also that beacon. So if you need to have a little bit of additional light or the ability to catch somebody's attention, this could certainly help out. Now, as we get into it here with the TR1611, well, this is what I'm talking about. Take a look. I need to go to my front tires, and, well, unfortunately, I am quite shy. I accidentally dropped the unit, but it's good and robust. So at this point, this is a little bit of a downfall. It definitely leaves me lacking, and especially in a modern SUV where the power oftentimes comes from the back, that's definitely going to be a consideration. I will need an extension. But now we're going to take advantage of my truck. The power does come off the middle of my truck and off of my console. So here you can see some fairly large tires. This is basically going to be enough to top me off and make sure that I'm running all 4 of my tires at the exact same pressure. So again, you can see a nice adapter working very well. I'm starting at 37 PSI. I just have to go up a quick 5 PSI to 42. Not a big deal, and operating here with ease. So this is, generally speaking, very straightforward and not a lot to it. Just keep in mind my considerations. In this case, I am running off the middle of the vehicle. And here, as we're getting close to the end, you can see topping off this tire, getting to the 42 PSI. Well, in this particular case, the 1611 behaving a little better than the 1623, where it actually tops me off and shuts off at a perfect 42 PSI. So my target, no worries, no problem at all. Now, where I did get a little bit stumped, unfortunately, at this point, I couldn't quite make it to the rear of the truck. The front went no problem. The back, well, I'm struggling here. Again, I'm about 6 inches shy. So I definitely need to get an extension for the TR1611. Just a simple power extension would make a big difference, and it is something that you may want to consider. But overall, the 1611 being a nice little air compressor, I do like the fact that it is very well contained. It's very simple, everything nesting together nicely. It's actually very compact, very portable, and it's very lightweight. So this is going to be a nice option for somebody who's maybe not quite as strong, or maybe you have limited storage capacity in your vehicle. The fact that it all goes together very nicely, I do enjoy. And the fact is, in the bottom of this unit, you can fit the entire power cord, and I bet you can even get an extension in there. A 3 to 5 foot extension should be more than enough, and that's something that I would definitely consider for this particular unit. But as you look here, nesting everything together, going together very nicely, the TR1611 portable air compressor, definitely suitable. It just has a couple of considerations worth noting. And now, last but not least, taking a look at the DP3. This, of all of them, is my favorite. I love the fact that this is battery operated, very compact, and definitely capable. Seyvum does report that this can pump up 4 car tires, being a 205/55 R16, or 8 car tires, being roughly a 3 to 18 inch tire, or 25 bike tires, being a 700 by 23, or 40 basketballs of a size 7, all on a single charge. And I would tend to believe that it does definitely seem to have a reasonable battery life overall. Now, Seyvum also reporting that this can go to approximately 150 PSI maximum, and this offers a 35 liter per minute capacity. So in other words, this can inflate a 195/55 R15 car tire from 0 to 35 PSI in about 5 minutes. And the fact that you can actually pump up all 4 car tires from 0 to 35 PSI, again, very, very nice. And you can see here, having a nice rubberized hose and a few different adapters. This will work generally very well, coming with a little support card and all the little things that you're going to need to get you started. Now, nicely protected as this comes from the factory, no problem, very easy. And as you take a look, remember again, this is battery operated, so long pressing that power button, it comes to life. Now, this does have a number of different modes. It has some presets factory set right away, which is kind of nice. And then you have the ability to change everything as you wish. So changing all the preset modes to things that may be regularly used. And you can see this is in fact USB Type-C rechargeable. So a very nice little compact unit, fits in your hands, and is extremely portable. Very nice. I like this quite a bit. Very simple, very nice, and a great little unit from Seyvum. Also coming in a nice case, this works out very well to keep it protected, and I do like that. So as we pan through the presets real quick here, number of different things depending on your needs. Motorcycle, car, here you have bicycle, and different sports equipment. So very, very simple. And I do like the fact that you can change these presets to things that you may use on a regular basis. Threading in the hose, very simple. This is something that you're going to need to take off every time you use it. So in this particular case, I might not use the Teflon tape, but again, a nice rubberized hose and the ability to attach this and thread it onto the stem. This does also come with some adapters depending on what you're trying to do with it. So a nice little package from Seyvum. Now again, as I mentioned, leveraging a USB Type-C charging cable and getting this up to charging capacity. Very simple, so plugging it in, not a lot to it. And as you take a look here, you can see it does give you a battery indicator in the corner of the screen. Now you do also have the ability to plug this in. So if you need to, you can definitely plug this into a car charger. So not a big deal. And the fact that you can charge this both in the car and also with a USB Type-C connector, that's definitely cool. Now getting this dialed up to my target pressure here, you can see I am looking for 42 PSI and just topping off my tires as I was with the prior models. Now the good thing is I can get back to work on the rear of the truck because, well, at this point, I have no limitations to the length of the cord. So at this particular time, you can see getting this going, getting it set, finding my target PSI, and, well, turning on the unit here, no problem. But in this particular case, the funny thing is, well, the unit literally just hanging in the middle of the air. Not much I can do about that. There's no real place I can rest this. So if that is something that you're concerned with, just take into consideration the fact that you may be hanging this unit off the side of your tires, depending on how big your vehicle is and the orientation of the stem. In my particular case, where the stem is halfway up in the air, well, that means that the actual compressor itself hanging there as well. But as we're coming up to pressure and topping off my tires, you can see this did stop at the appropriate 42 PSI target. So very nicely done, no problem to it. And now at this point, just removing this, you can see no problem at all. I don't necessarily always like the thread-on adapters, but at the same time, not much you can do with a compressor of this style. And just topping off all the rest of my tires at this point, getting it to good use. The battery life at this point, no problem, no worries, doing a perfectly good job. And as I mentioned before, you can see just kind of dangling here, but again, no problem and doing its job. The Seyvum DP3, absolutely awesome. I do like it. And now finally, just getting everything all wrapped up, all coiled up and put back into its package. A little bit tight, but at the same time, it does go back in here nicely. So the DP3 for me is something that you can definitely throw in the back of a car, throw under a seat, throw in a bag, throw in an emergency kit. And in my particular case, this is going to be a good workhorse little compressor. This is something that I could give to my kids. They could put it in their sports bag, no problem. If you're a coach, this would be absolutely fantastic. So for many different needs, the DP3, in my opinion, is the best and most flexible compressor we took a look at today. And so, all right, guys, there you have it. A look at these Seyvum portable compressors. Again, as I had said the entire time, some pros, some cons, things to consider. Now, let's go through these in a little bit of order just to wrap up my final thoughts. Of course, here on the 1623, the most sort of capable of the bunch, generally speaking, very good runtime, the ability to really get some air into your items, pump them up quickly, larger truck tires, no problem. But at the same time, I do like the fact that this does have the stretchy cord. I think that works out very well. So the hose, the air hose there being that flexible air hose, that works out very well. But just not having some of the basic accessories leaves it a little bit lacking. Not having the ability to plug it into the wall leaves it a little bit lacking. For me, I would love this to take over as my sort of garage option. It's what I have in my garage. It tucks away. I can plug it in, leave it plugged in, and then when I need some air, fill up my car tires or just do general maintenance, no problem. This is definitely not going to run air tools. That's not the intention. But to still have the ability to plug this in, I think would have been great. So it does have the ability to operate no problem for my family vehicles. I have no problem with the overall reach and the capability, and the fact that you can clip it to the battery works out very well. But at the end of the day, I really would like this to come with two things. One, the ability to plug this into the wall, and two, just a typical tire inflation connection so that you're not threading it on. I feel like when you lose just that little bit as you're unthreading the nozzle, it's just taking away from the overall capability. But other than that, very capable and a nice compressor. And the TR1611, to me, this would have been absolutely perfect for that lightweight option. Leave it in the back of the family SUV, let my wife use it. Just gives you a little security while you're out on the road. Having the additional little features like the light and the little signaling, not too bad, adds a little functionality, and I like that it's on here. But where it doesn't reach the tires and where I need to pump it up, again, leaves it extremely lacking. So they either need to add a longer power cord, or they have to extend the hose, or at least give you an option to add a flexible hose to this. So a step in the right direction, but it still left me lacking. So again, considering modern day SUVs, a lot of times the power is actually run off the back, which leaves you in a situation where you can't deal with the front tires. So again, could I get an extension for this? Of course. So that's what you would really need to do. So to wrap up my final thoughts, definitely capable, but you have to get yourself an extension cord, at least for my particular situation. And last but not least, this DP3. Generally speaking, more than capable of doing exactly what I need. Now again, you saw this was dangling in the air. Not a big deal. It can handle it. It can do it. I love that it's battery operated, and the fact that it's so tidy and just the ability to pack it away, fantastic. So whether you're a coach and you operate sporting teams and you have basketballs or soccer balls or different things, even volleyballs that you have to keep to the proper pressure. That's going to be nice. I like that it has the sort of quick settings, the nice little presets, which is really cool. That works out very well. So depending on your needs, this to me, of all three of them, actually the most flexible, the most sort of realistic for my needs, and the fact that it's battery operated, I just love it. And so again, a look at these Seyvum compressors. Thank you very much to the people at Seyvum who did provide these for review. And for the rest of you, if you like this content, do me a favor, take a look at my Outer Limitless 2 channel, which is more on the tactical and firearm side of things. At this point, that channel is growing quickly, so if you like what you see here on Outer Limitless, do me a favor and check me out on Outer Limitless 2. So all right, guys, thanks for stopping by. I hope you like what you saw. I hope you found it a little bit informative. If you like what you saw, please like, share, and subscribe. And as always, thanks for stopping by. Take care now. I'll see you soon.